Hello everyone, I am here today with Stefan Spencer, and he is an internationally recognized SEO expert and best-selling author. He is also the co-author of The Art of SEO, author of Google Power Search, and co-author of Social E-Commerce, all published by O'Reilly. The Art of SEO, now in its third edition and weighing in at nearly 1,000 pages, is considered the Bible of search engine optimization and boasts testimonials from such industry giants as Seth Godin and Tony Hsieh, and is even used as a textbook at universities. Stefan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome, awesome. And today we're going to talk about what on-page and off-page SEO means with today's search engine algorithms and traffic. And I personally am super interested in talking about this and learning from the industry giant with Stefan about all this, because there's a lot of confusion about what SEO means in today's world based on what it used to do and based on what it means now, and I'd love to get a lot of stuff cleared up by Stefan. So Stefan, just to kind of get things kicked off just on some basics here, can you just talk about just what are the basics every company needs to concentrate on for on-page SEO?
Right. So first let's define what goes in the on-page bucket versus what goes in the off-page bucket.
Perfect.
Because this might be unfamiliar terminology for the listener. So on-page refers to anything that would be on the page in the code, in the HTML, on the rendered page, that affects the page in question, whereas off-page would include things that are on other pages of the website or other websites altogether, or signals that Google pays attention to that are not just directly on the web, but perhaps in domain whois records, or just kind of a historical rap sheet that they might keep on you, and past infractions and spammy behavior. So there are a lot of way more off-page factors to think about than on-page, and over time the off-page stuff I think is becoming more difficult, more elusive for the marketer to figure out and to master. Right? It's easy to think of the fact that, oh, this is an off-page factor, but it's going to be more elusive to even know what those off-page factors are as we're becoming more driven by machine intelligence. Machine learning, artificial intelligence is becoming a bigger and bigger part of the Google algorithm, and this is going to make SEO and just the Google algorithm altogether just a black box. We're going to have a really hard time even knowing what the signals are. Now we do. Now we have a general idea what many of the signals are, because machine learning, and the rank brain algorithm is what they're using for machine learning right now, and the algorithm, that accounts for maybe 15% of all searches from what Google engineers are saying, but that's going to ramp up over time. So this is going to get really dicey to try and master SEO if you're not on the top of your game. So let me get back to the original question about on-page.
Real quick, Stefan, can you describe what some of those off-page signals are before we get into the on-page stuff?
So if somebody links to you, that's essentially like a vote, but not all votes are created equal. So a link from CNN.com can be worth a lot more than a link from Jim Bob's personal homepage. So you're looking for quality links. And what do I mean by quality? They are ideally relevant to your industry. They are important as far as Google's concerned, authoritative, and trusted. And then the placement of the links matters. So if it's a footer link, it's not as valuable as if it's in the main body of the page. If it's a site-wide link, then it's not as valuable as a link that's just on the home page, because it looks like there's some commercial relationship going on between you and the linking website. So those are just a handful of link-related factors. Oh, and of course, the anchor text that is used to underline words, in other words. So click here is not great anchor text because those words get associated with your page instead of something that's relevant to your industry or product, right? And yet you don't want to go over the top with this and get really keyword stuffed links that look artificial, like a whole bunch of people linking to you with used cars San Diego when you have a car lot called Mr. Joe's Car Lot. Just does not look legit to Google, and you'll get penalized for that. So it has to look natural. It should be natural, not just look natural, because the machine learning algorithms are getting better and better at sniffing out the artificial stuff. So those are some link-related signals. And also placement of other text near the link, right? So if there's good keyword-rich content that's valuable near your link, the link that's pointing to your site, that's helpful. If there's a bunch of spammy stuff, like other links to sites that are not reputable, things like Viagra and payday loan type links are adjacent to the link to your site, that doesn't look good. So lots of link-related signals. And then related to, let's say, your domain, how about the registration date, the age of the domain? How about the age of the website? So the domain and the website have two different ages. You might have sat on that domain for 10 years and not launched anything on it, just might have been a parking page or not resolving. So the clock really starts when the website starts, not when the domain gets registered nearly as much. So you go into the Wayback Machine, archive.org, and you see how old your site is. Other domain-related signals be like the number of years that you've paid for your registration, your domain registration. If it's only a new domain and it's only been registered for a year, that doesn't look as legit as a domain that's 10 years old and then you've registered it for the next 10 years or 5 years, whatever, so that it looks like you're serious, you're not a fly-by-night. So those are some examples of domain-related signals. There are plenty others, and Matt Cutts once famously said, like, if whether the webmaster owned a cat or not returned better search results, they would use that in the algorithm. So they're constantly testing all sorts of different signals to see if they improve the search results or detract from them.
Gotcha. So it's an ever-moving target, lots and lots and lots of stuff to consider. Now, I actually came across a conversation the other day, and it was an SEO company, and they were, kind of looking to place a value on like one of those super-duper high-quality link backs, like from a CNN or some other Forbes and some other big ones. Is there like a value, like approximate value placed on something like that?
Well, the way that you would measure the value of it, not monetary value, but the amount of juice, basically, that's being transferred through that link is, and this is an approximation because we don't have access to the Google algorithm and the PageRank scores, the real ones, the internal ones. We used to get PageRank scores through the Google toolbar that were kind of a joke. We all knew inside the SEO community not to pay attention to those. But the real PageRank algorithm and scores we don't have any insight into. It's all hidden within the Googleplex. We can use some different tools that approximate PageRank, such as there's Open Site Explorer from Moz, and their metrics for determining or estimating the PageRank score include MozRank and Page Authority and Domain Authority. They also have MozTrust, which approximates TrustRank, which we can talk about if you'd like, but it gets a little geeky. There's also Majestic.com, which is a tool that is running a different algorithm and has a different crawl of the web. So I believe in looking for corroborating evidence. Use multiple tools. Use Open Site Explorer and use Majestic to see if a trend or some data point is real. So Majestic's two metrics to pay attention to are citation flow is their approximation PageRank, and TrustFlow, their approximation of TrustRank. And then there's ahrefs.com, and there's linkresearchtools.com. Link Research Tools, they have Kemper Power, Kemper Trust, and Kemper Power Trust. So there's a lot of different tools that you could use that would estimate PageRank. I use all of them, but at least have two that you use regularly. And some of these tools you can still put in a website, even if you don't. You put in the URL. Even if you haven't logged in, you'll get maybe 3 queries a day allowed. So it's best if you just pay for the service, but even if you don't have the budget at the moment, you can get some value out of these tools. It's just not nearly as much.
Is there any way to put a monetary value on if an SEO company was coming to somebody and say, hey, we're going to get you a link back from this high-quality site?
No, in fact, I would say that's folly. To put monetary value, you can't possibly do that, because once you look at an individual link, and the score might check out, but then you see that a bunch of the links on the page are really sketchy. Links to Viagra, payday loan, all these really sketchy links that completely invalidates the power of the link that you have on that page.
I hear you, and that's where I just was like wondering. I was like, how can they do this? It really just comes down to, I mean, you got to get with, if you're going to be concentrating on your, like an SEO company, that's going to be getting you, link juice. It really just comes down to the reputable companies, and you got to find a good company, because there's so many things that you can fool somebody with. It sounds like, even if it's saying you're getting it from a Forbes.com, what that might not mean what it used to mean, or it doesn't mean what it used to mean.
Definitely, it definitely doesn't mean.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
well, that's interesting. I kind of felt that, but I didn't know it. I just thought that it sounded weird.
Yeah, so here's the thing that I would recommend you do to make sure you're getting a good SEO firm. I have 2 different documents that are free on my website on stephanspencer.com. One is, and they're in the resources, guides and white paper section. So mouse over resources and then pick guides and white papers. The first document is an SEO hiring blueprint, and the second one is an SEO BS detector. I won't say what BS stands for, but you know what it means. This is a clean podcast, right? The idea here, though, is you need a roadmap. Maybe it's not a clean podcast. The roadmap that you get from that SEO hiring blueprint, you just follow it to ensure that you get really qualified candidates, whether they're in-house SEO people that you're looking to hire, or they're an agency you're looking to hire, or an individual consultant like me. I'm pretty much an individual consultant. I have a small team that helps support me in like running reports for my clients and so forth. But I'm doing the bulk of the work. And then the second document, the SEO BS detector, has some trick questions in it. So one stage in the 7-stage process for in my SEO hiring blueprint is to introduce trick questions into the interview process. And these are not obvious as trick questions. You're just asking things that you already know there's only one right answer to, and it just sounds like an innocent question that somebody might ask. Like you might slip into the interview when you're asking about things like, okay, what's your process for doing on-page SEO? And I realize we never circled back to on-page stuff, but what's some of your strategies and tactics for on-page stuff, for optimizing things on the page like titles and so forth? And then you might slip in as the trick question and tell me what the process is for optimizing meta keywords. How does that work? And the only right answer is meta keywords. Are you serious? No. Those never counted in Google. That's the only right answer. Because if they said, well, they don't count as much as they used to, but it's not a bad thing to do it still, That's a completely bogus answer because they never counted in Google. And if you don't believe me, just Google it. Type in, this is on the Google Webmaster Central blog back in 2009 or something. They said, we never counted meta keywords in our algorithm. They never counted. They were never a positive ranking signal. So if somebody says anything to the contrary, you know they don't know their stuff, and that's a great time to say, you know, we're done with the interview, but I appreciate your time. Here's the door.
Yeah.
So you got to be very careful.
Just telling people about those just save people probably a ton of grief and money and time. So I'm so happy to hear that you've come up with something like that, because I think you're really doing something, you know, doing a service to the world and the industry out there. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Just to direct people correctly, it's StephanSpencer.com. That's StephanSpencer.com. StephanSpencer.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's a ton of other stuff on there too. That you know, like probably hundreds of, not counted them all, but probably hundreds of articles I've written for Search Engine Land for many years. So there are links to tons of those articles written for multi-channel merchants and just a bunch of different sites, Huffington Post, etc. And then there are some other white papers and downloadable PDFs. There's archived webinars and YouTube videos, interviews, all sorts of stuff. And I have 2 podcast shows that people should definitely check out. There are links to both shows from StephanSpencer.com, but you could go directly to MarketingSpeak.com for the Marketing Speak podcast, all about internet marketing stuff like Facebook advertising, SEO, of course, conversion optimization, you name it. And I interviewed some really great guests. I interviewed Jay Abraham recently, for example, on Marketing Speak. And then the other one is called The Optimized Geek. It's kind of a funny name. That's all about self-development and personal transformation, even though it sounds like it's all about optimizing like SEO, it's optimizing yourself.
No, I've listened to a couple of those. They're really good. They're really good.
Oh, yeah, thank you. So I've got some great episodes on there, like Harville Hendricks, author of Getting the Love You Want. He's been on Oprah and stuff. Phil Town, he's like one of the top financial gurus in the world. He wrote 2 #1 New York Times bestsellers, and he's talking about how to invest in the stock market and not lose money. It's just like, there's some great episodes, all these biohacking episodes as well. I'm going to interview Dave Asprey next month, who's the Bulletproof executive and creator of Bulletproof Diet, which is a New York Times bestseller, and Bulletproof Coffee is his invention. Yeah, great stuff. So check out those 2 podcasts as well.
Awesome. Now, obviously, I think a lot of people are going to be running over there to learn a lot, but to kind of just dig into some of the, just circling back to the original question, what are just some of the basics, every company just getting started, okay, here are the 2, 4, 5, 10 things that you just need to do right away. What would those be for your
on page? So one of the most important things to look at on page is the title tag. It's the most important signal as far as the on-page signals, and it's not something that is oftentimes paid attention to if you don't know SEO. So a great way to see what your title tags look like is to type into Google SITE : and then your domain.com, so whatever your domain is. Right, so magnificent.com if you are David. So SITE : magnificent.com or Toyota.com or whatever your domain is, and then you're going to see a whole bunch of search results from your site. It'll be up to like 700 and something results, and you're going to just kind of scan through those to see how good those are, if they have good keyword phrases, if they are compelling, that they compel the click, or if they're just pretty much useless. Welcome to our website, untitled document. Those would be really lousy title tags, and chances are you probably don't have fantastic title tags. So that's the first thing that you'd want to fix across your site. If you have a large site, then you're going to want to just start with the top of the site tree, your home page, secondary level pages, then move on to the tertiary level pages, and then quaternary level pages, and go as far as you can with the time that you have available. That's going to be a great return on investment of on-page stuff. There are a lot of other things that you could spend your time.
What was it again? Site? You do your site?
SITE : and then domain.com, whatever that domain is, whatever your website URL is. Okay. Don't put a space after the colon because that'll break the operator and it won't work right. So SITE : magnificent.com for you guys would return a whole bunch of pages from the magnificent.com website. And then you just scan through looking at those and you say, oh yeah, these look really bad. I need to work on these. And if you're running a WordPress-based website, you could either use a plugin that I had created back over 5 years ago, and it's called SEO Title Tag. Allows you to mass edit all sorts of posts, pages, tag pages, category pages, pretty much anything on your WordPress site, all through a mass edit interface, like dozens or hundreds of pages at a time without going to each page individually, editing it, saving it, and then going back and then doing it to the next one. You want it all on one page, so that's a mass edit interface. Or Yoast with their SEO plugin basically copied that functionality and put it into their plugin as well. So if you're using Yoast, you can just use that feature. And then you can just go through a whole bunch of pages, posts, and so forth.
And what are you looking for when you're going through these pages? I'm just doing it right now as we're doing it. So what are we looking for? You looking for the descriptions that's underneath the pages, or what exactly should one be paying attention to?
Well, the most important thing is the title, and then the meta description is not something that influences your search rankings in Google, so you're not going to worry about that. That's a second order activity if you have extra time. Work on the things that are really a good use of your time, so that will move the needle, right? So if I were to put in, I'll put it in right now, it's like magnificent.com, and I'll pick an example of one of your pages.
You can be harsh.
Okay. All right. So directory listings, Magnificent Marketing LLC. Well, if you're trying to rank for directory listings, that is okay, but that doesn't compel me to click, for one thing. If I saw that in the search results, I would have zero interest in clicking on that. And secondly, you got to think about what are the keywords that you really want to rank for. Directory listings, that's not really a good keyword anymore. Back 10 years ago when people were still talking about getting directory listings for SEO, that might have been useful as far as a title tag. Another example is your team, Magnificent Marketing LLC. Well, is it, what kind of team? Is it your team of marketing specialists at Magnificent would be a better title tag if you're trying to rank for a marketing-related keyword. Or so sales, marketing strategy, branding, these are all keywords that you guys probably want to rank for, and you've got specialization expertise in. None of those keywords are represented in the title tag. It just says your team, Magnificent Marketing LLC. So the marketing is in there, I guess, what is part of your name, but that's boilerplate in every single one of your titles. It's just your company name. It's not as good as having a keyword-rich phrase, but remember, Google now is smarter than they were 10 years ago. It's not about the exact match phrase. It's about entities and other corroborating signals that help Google figure out, yeah, you really are marketing experts or strategy experts. But the title tag is a great place to start.
And you're looking at like what actually the top part of it right there, like your team dash content technology plus marketing services, correct?
Oh, and this is another good point. If Google is using a title that is different from your title tag, that means that they've overridden your title for whatever reason. Perhaps it looks too keyword stuff. So actually, that's a good point. I didn't go to the page itself. I just saw the title that Google was displaying. They overrode your title tag. So it says, according to Google, your team, Magnificent Marketing LLC. I click, and then I see that your title is actually different, and this is happening more and more these days. You guys have a title that says your team, Content Technology and Marketing Services, Austin, Texas. So if Google is basically hijacking your title, try kind of making it more value-added, less keyword stuffed, and seeing if Google will start using your title instead, because it's hard to know why exactly Google is overriding your title tag with theirs, but you don't want to just accept that. You want to work to improve your title until yours is the one that gets represented in the search results. So that's a good point that I didn't make until you brought it up. So, yeah.
Very interesting. Okay. All right. What are some other things? I mean, that's great starting point there. What are some other just the basics? Right away before digging into all the minutia. What are some of the other things people just checklist of do this, and this?
Yeah. So this is going to start to get geeky. We'll start with the easy stuff. So the title tag, really easy. Of course, you want to do some keyword research. Use like the Google AdWords Keyword Planner. You need an AdWords account in order to use the tool, but you don't have to spend money with AdWords. You just have to sign up and give your credit card details, and then you can start using the tool. It won't be dinging your credit card. Just don't start any campaigns that you didn't mean to in AdWords. So once you've identified some good keywords to target and you've incorporated some of those into the appropriate pages on the site, you're not going to keyword stuff. You're not going to use the same keyword phrase across all pages of your site. You're going to pick a page that's highly relevant to that keyword theme, and then you're going to put that into the title. You're going to also put that in the body copy. And the concept of keyword prominence is important to grasp here, because it's not about the number of occurrences, otherwise known as keyword density. It's about the placement of that keyword phrase. So if it's at the top of the page, it's worth more than if it's at the bottom of a 3,000-word page. So just think about, like, am I putting my best foot forward here with this page in terms of what I'm trying to present as my keyword focus or keyword theme? And so keyword prominence is a really important concept for that. And now we're going to get geeky, because you're going to have to think about what's happening behind the scenes in the HTML, such as schema.org markup. That's also known as microdata markup. You make sure, like, if you have a video embedded on the page, that you're using the schema.org video object or Facebook share format or RDFA. So you got geeky stuff going on behind the scenes, depending on what kind of page type we're talking about. If it's a product page, then you've got offer markup, schema.org offer markup, and so forth, because you want rich snippets to appear in the search results for your listing, right? You want, for example, if you have customer reviews, you want a star rating in your listing in Google. You want it to say the number of reviews that are associated with that product page. If you have stock availability on your page, in stock or out of stock, you want that displayed in the Google listing. You want your pricing. If the product is $32, you want that to show up in the search result. So that's all done with schema.org markup. And that's something that if you're not sure that you're doing it or not, you could use a tool called the Google Structured Data Testing Tool to see if this is in place and if it's in place correctly. And then there's other stuff that you're going to have to, configuration type stuff that you're going to need to watch out for. Things like, is there a meta robots tag that's a no index directive that's causing that page not to show up in the search results, or the robots.txt disallow directive blocking that page from being spidered by Google. Yeah, there's tons of things to look out for. Just configuration-wise, you want to make sure that your error pages are working properly, returning a 404 if it's a 404 type of page. You want a 404 status code return, so you're going to have to use a server header checker to test that, and there are a bunch of free ones online. Just Google it, server header checker. Put in a URL of a page that shouldn't exist, like magnificent.com/ASDF, right? Something nonsensical like that from your site, and make sure that the server header checker returns a 404 status code. It's not good enough that the page says, oops, nothing here, sorry, and you know, nice, pretty-looking custom error page. It actually has to return a 404 status code. So I could go on and on with hours and hours of all sorts of geeky configuration things that you need to do, like if you have a mobile site and if you blah, blah, blah. But I know we have only limited time in our episode, so that's probably a good starting point.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you. Personally, too. We're going to be re-listening to this and going back and applying all this stuff and then heading over to your site and learning from you there as well. Okay, moving on a little bit. I know there's a ton of confusion in the marketplace these days on, link backs. You have your traditional, SEO companies that say it's all about links. It's all about links. And at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, with the social signals and, everything else in play on on your dwell time on the site, how long people stay on the page, and all of that plays into factors. But you still do have, I mean, I get emails daily with SEO companies talking about link backs, right? And so I would just like for you to explain how this works in today's world. You could toe the line between gray and black hat with people saying, I'm going to build links for you. So can you talk about how important, this kind of stuff is still, important for traffic and rankings and everything versus, what is a good SEO company really should be doing for you in regards to, the talk of links?
Right. So if you think about this as kind of like a commodity type situation, you're getting it all wrong. It's not about getting a certain number of links with certain metrics associated with those links, like moz rank or domain authority, page authority of the linking site or page. That's not a useful way to think about it. It's much better to and I'll preface this by saying that links are still the most important signal in the Google algorithm. According to Google Engineer, the three most important signals, and this has recently been circulating around SEO news sites like Search Engine Land and SEM Post. The three things are links, content, and RankBrain. Those are the three most important signals that Google uses.
RankBrain.
And links is RankBrain is the machine learning algorithm we talked about just a little bit ago. Okay. So those are the three things, and there are plenty of other signals, hundreds of other signals, but those are the top three. Links at the very top of the list. So this is important. We can't just not worry about it, expect it to take care of itself. But to think of this as a commodity would be a big mistake. So it's about being remarkable with your online marketing and as a way to get the attention of influencers, the linkerati, in other words, who will link to you from their blogs and websites that have lots of authority, trust, and importance in the eyes of Google, and that's where you get all that juice.
How does one go about getting that?
how do you go about like being remarkable and then getting all those great links? First of all, you have to think differently about what you're creating, whether it's it doesn't matter what your industry is. It could be as boring as you're selling toilet seat lids or plumbing supplies. Doesn't matter, because you can still think outside the box and come up with crazy brilliant ideas for content marketing pieces, right? So if I were selling plumbing supplies, I might think of a compilation type blog post of the 50 craziest urinals from around the world, and all I have to do, I don't have to go travel the world and take pictures. I just go onto Flickr and Google Images and so forth and just type in the word urinal and find the best images that are Creative Commons licensed that I can reuse those, and then create a compilation blog post of funniest, craziest urinals. And now I have a tangentially related to my business blog post that has potentially viral appeal. And I'm just going to keep doing this and upping my game and getting better at this as time goes on. So I might start doing, instead of just listicles, I might then move on to doing infographics and use a free tool like, or inexpensive tool like Pictochart to create infographics, or I might get my graphic designer to create infographics for me. I might create personality tests or quizzes. And so there's so many things that you could do. Checklists, worksheets, buyer's guides, how-tos, comics, viral videos, you name it, that would potentially be remarkable if you think of a clever hook or angle, and then you pay attention to the headline. A really killer headline is going to be critical. And you've probably seen in your Facebook news feed the personality test, which city should you actually live in, and that did really well. It spread virally. And by the way, the social signals are not what we're after. We're after the links, because social signals are not in those three things, right? It's not a signal that Google is paying a lot of attention to. The shares and retweets and likes and plus ones and all that, that's not the end game. The end game is the links, because we're spreading virally through social media, getting the attention of the linkerati, and they're like, oh, that is so cool, I got to write about that on my blog.
Gotcha.
So that's the end game. And if we've got a really killer headline, like which city should you actually live in, and you notice that the word actually just made that headline, right? What city should you live in quiz doesn't do it at all. It's just another Me Too type of survey, and that actually presupposes that you're not living in the city that best suits you, and so that pay attention to the headline. So you can repackage your idea, the hook that you've come up with, into different formats, right? So let's say that you have this idea for an infographic about the different hand gestures and what they mean in different parts of the world. Some things don't mean nice things depending on the country you're in, like an okay is not okay, or a thumbs up means up yours, depending on which country you're in. So an infographic would be a great starting point for conveying that information. It'd be a lot of fun, right? And graphical. You could also use a viral video that would be a lot of fun, and you're like, oh, well, I'm not going to send a video team around the world to take videos of what these things mean in different parts of the world. Well, just go into Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com, pay somebody $5 in that country to go and video themselves giving the thumbs up or whatever, the up yours or whatever that means in that country, and see what the reactions are, and then take the best of those videos and create a compilation, add your narration, and say, add some animation and stuff to it, and have an educational viral video about what these different hand gestures mean in different parts of the world and how to avoid getting shot. And you could just keep repackaging these things in different formats, like a personality test or quiz. Like you can have a quiz, which will you get shot as a world traveler, yes or no? Take the quiz. And then you try and guess whether this thing is an okay thing to do as a hand gesture, like the V for victory signal, very vulgar in certain countries. And you wouldn't know necessarily which countries you can use it and not use it, and you can have this fun quiz, and then it gives you a score at the end, and then there's a badge that you can proudly display on your social media profile or your blog sidebar saying whether you get shot or not as a world traveler, or what, you know, how many bullet wounds you get, whatever, right? So I'm just making this up, but the idea here is think differently, think outside the box, create something that has potentially a viral appeal, even if it's just tangentially related. That's okay. This is not designed for your customers. This is designed for the linkerati, right? So just like Caterpillar, Cat, they make big earth-moving machines. They made this incredible viral video, massive Jenga game.
The Jenga game,
using huge, like one-ton blocks and earth-moving equipment to create the Jenga tower, and that got millions of views. And then they eventually got the links by having various blog posts and PR initiatives. It wasn't just to get links to the YouTube video on YouTube.com, because that doesn't help them directly. They want the links to their website, and they got it. They got lots of great links, and that was not targeting the customers at all. Nobody's going to say, oh, I'm so glad I watched that video. Now I'm definitely going to buy that bulldozer.
Yeah, I want to play that game.
So,
so it sounds like more and more with SEO, content marketing is becoming a bigger factor for small and large companies, it sounds like, you know, to get these link backs. But then you just need to, I always say, before we invite guests over, you got to get your house in order. So make sure you get all that on-page stuff done that you mentioned, and you know, and listeners again can go to stephonspencer.com to get all that stuff done. So that's first and foremost. But then the plan moving forward, it's less about trying to like build links, and instead it's create, you know, super compelling content that's, you know, everything you've described above. It could be funny, it could be humorous, it could be, you know, educational, it could just be just crazy off the cuff stuff. But yeah, so it sounds like that's kind of the winning formula. Get everything on your site done correctly, and then be remarkable with your content and get it out there to get these links back. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yes, and people are probably going to wonder, well, how the heck do I get it out there? I have very few fans or followers or subscribers, and I can push it out on my social media channels, and it won't make a darn bit of difference. So the solution there is to use power users. I wrote an article for Search Engine Land a while ago called The Social Media Underground, and that goes through how to get power users in your hip pocket to utilize for pushing out your remarkable content into various social channels and get that kind of reach, and hopefully the snowball effect will happen, right? The snowball starts small, rolling down the hill, but it gets big and gets really big fast. So that's the idea.
Power users, what else would you suggest? You know, obviously that'll take some time, and to try to do that, what are some other, you know, getting it out there suggestions do you have?
Yeah, to network with influencers. Let's say if you're a podcaster, you want to go to podcasting conferences and meet the top podcasters and add value first, ask for favors later. So podcast movement is coming up in July in Chicago. PodFest just happened in Florida. So go to conferences, make friends, go to meetups and things where you're going to meet other influencers, not just random meetups, but ones where influencers hang out at. And use a tool that allows you to outreach to influencers and build those prospect lists of influencers who have high clout scores, high Moz rank scores, et cetera. Like pitchbox.com is a great tool for that. Not only does it do the prospecting and build the list for you of influencers per the topic that you're working on, so put in keywords, and then it builds that list for you, but also it will do the outreach for you. You pick some templates, or you upload your own templates, and then you can personalize the individual emails. It also works like a mail merge sort of thing, but it's got to seem like it's an individually handcrafted email and not one of those bulk emails, because that'll get deleted immediately. And then it handles the follow-up. If they didn't respond after 10 days or 2 weeks, then you want to send them a follow-up, so you can have a template for that and re-forward the original email, but ask for, add value before you ask for a favor. So if you have a column with the Huffington Post, like I do, you could say, well, I'm working on an article of, 15 things that, counterintuitive things about marketing that you need to know, and I wanted to interview you for that article or get at least a short quote or tip. Could I interview via email or by Skype for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever? And that's a great way to add value first and then build a relationship so that you can ask for the favor later, like, hey, I'm working on this ebook or whatever, and I'd love for your subscribers or your readers to have access to this for free. You don't start with that. You don't walk up to a woman and say, hey, nice to meet you, would you like to get married? That's really creepy. You add value first. You start with a low impact thing, and you kind of over time build up to the ask. So,
gotcha. Yeah, I mean, that's all amazing stuff, Stefan. I just can't thank you enough for sharing that. That's amazing. And again, everybody can go back to your site to learn more about all the specifics of everything. To kind of close but move on, wanted to maybe just ask some specific questions I came across just doing some research, getting ready for this podcast, and just kind of have you answer some specifics here that just circling to end, but circling back around to on-page stuff, some things I'm just very curious about as well. One came across a question of, do you think bolding your keywords gives your page an SEO boost? Is that a misnomer? Is that true? Is that false?
Yeah, it's completely false. And
okay.
If that's the sort of mythology that you're getting, you need to run from that SEO who's telling you that stuff. Cause
it's actually an SEO. I won't mention the person's name or anything. It's this email that I'm just on their list, and I get it. And I thought these were some odd questions, so I wanted to run them by you.
There's
and again,
a lot
this goes
of
to that BS. Yeah, I know, and that's what's so curious about this topic. I mean, of all marketing, I would say this is the most fuzzy understanding from people in the marketing world and for sure the business world, because SEO, what does it even mean anymore these days? Almost, it feels like, So I came across these questions from them, and I've always had a raised eyebrow from them, and I haven't unfollowed them or unsubscribed because I'm always so curious, because they're such an old school company. But that's why I just wanted to bring these questions to you, because I thought that they were great. So,
yeah, well,
I mean, great in the sense of, are they real, right? So
entertaining. It's definitely entertaining. And by the way, all these sorts of myths, there's a bunch of them I've collected and debunked in a white paper, like mini ebook. Again, free document on my website on stefanspencer.com in the same area. Resources and then guides and white papers. It's called These SEO Myths Must Die, and I list 72 myths like that, and then debunk each one of them one by one.
Well, I will definitely link to that when I write up this blog post, because I will link to it and I will read it through every single one, because that's what we're trying to clear up today. And I think you're doing a marvelous job at it, and not to mention all the resources that will do that. So just a few more questions here, just out of curiosity. Are visits like to a website or page alone a ranking factor at all?
No, if you think about so Google's not hacking your Google Analytics or using that data they're not watching your user behavior once they're on your site. What they do see is the click-through from the search results. So if somebody comes back to the search results after being to your site for only a second and then picks the next search result, that's an indicator that you did not answer their question or serve their need. So that's what you're looking for. It's not in the Google Analytics reports of time on site and bounce rate and all that sort of stuff. In fact, many of those metrics are not useful metrics. They're not actionable. They are a waste of time in many senses, and yet people keep talking about them and as if they're valuable and useful. I recently interviewed Jared Spool on Marketing Speak, and he's a world-class usability expert, right up there with Jacob Nielsen, and we had a whole discussion about metrics such as time on site, bounce rate, even conversion rate, and how these are just bunk. They're not the right kind of metrics to be basing your business decisions on. So we talked about how to get a better handle on user frustration and delight with different kinds of metrics, and that's a must-listen-to episode. So the bottom line here is focus on the metrics that matter, that are more related to user delight, user frustration, and not these other metrics that are the default metrics that you get from Google Analytics, because those aren't the ones that really are going to move the needle for your business if you work to improve them, and most of those aren't even used in the Google algorithm either, right? So just think about what Google sees the click from the search results, and then it can see if the user comes back and clicks somewhere else. So try and add value, and it might be that adding value is answering their question quickly, and so they don't spend a lot of time digging around on the page trying to find your answer. If it's a short answer, get them in and out and realize that Google over time is going to understand that it's not for that kind of query about the time on the page. It's about answering the question quickly, and you did it. Their machine learning algorithms will figure that out and reward you for that, even though they spent only a few seconds on your page to get the answer and then they left. They didn't end up clicking on another listing to get the answer, and RankBrain goes in there and sees that it basically interprets. I mean, I'm kind of hypothesizing into the future that they're going to be able to do a heck of a lot more in terms of the artificial intelligence, but to be able to ascertain that the question was answered correctly and effectively on your page versus just looking at other signals that point in that direction that probably the question was answered. Now, Google's going to be able to have artificial intelligence that knows you answered the question. Right? Computers are going to be smarter than us, and it's in our lifetime, so it's like scary.
It is, but a little bit what's comforting with Google and Facebook and some of these, quote unquote big bag giants, and I'm doing air quotes, is that they really their businesses are based around user experience, really. They're in to make money, but they can't make money if they have a faulty product. So they're really in it to get all the crappy ways of doing things and the manipulative ways of doing things, and they're in it for making sure that what the users are expressing is the best way, is the way Google and Facebook and everybody is turning. So if you just pay attention to that, that will lead naturally a lot. But you got to pay attention to the details and everything we've discussed and everything that there's still a lot to be looked into through a lot of your resources. But in general, though, they're doing us a service, and I like them for it. So one last question that it comes up a lot, at least I hear it a lot. Domain extensions, do they mean anything? Is there do .coms work good, I mean the best, or you know that you have all these new extensions coming out? Do they play a factor at all?
It's not about the domain extension. You're not trying to get links from .edus and .govs because of the extension. For example, what matters is the link profile, the link neighborhood that site is in. .edus and .govs tend to be better links pointing to your site because they have more pristine link neighborhoods. .gov doesn't have a lot of spammers hacking the site and otherwise getting access to the site and dropping all their spammy links. So they're more trusted. They're in a more trusted neighborhood. But it's just correlation. It's not causation. So,
but what if you were getting a site and you were getting a domain? Do you do .co, .com, .net? Does it matter?
.com.
Okay.
Yeah, the reason why is because that's what users expect.
Yep.
That's what there's this unspoken question that people have when they see anything other than a .com, like, is this legit? Is this a real thing, like a .biz or a .info or a .ninja or .guru? Like, people look at that and say, really?
Okay. That's what I felt
I
in my gut, but I didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I did register Stefan.ninja for fun and Stefan.guru, but I'm not putting those on my business card. So that's just kind of ridiculous. Get a .com, and if any kind of permutation that you're looking for is already taken, just go to a aftermarket domain resource like buydomains.com, B-U-Y, like purchase, buydomains.com, or hugedomains.com. Do some searches, do some keyword searches, find some domains that are in your budget range. They've been around for a while. Most of the good domains, heck, all the good domains are already taken. So probably going to have to buy an aftermarket domain, and you can buy them for as cheap as maybe $500, even a couple $100. I bought scienceofseo.com 5 years ago for I think I paid $650 for that. I bought instar.com, INNSTAR.com, a site that's been around since the 90s for $500. Yeah, $500. That's what I paid for that. So good deals are out there.
Yeah. Yeah, we were lucky enough to score magnificent.com. That was kind of lucky.
That is magnificent. Good job.
Thank you. Well, hey, Stefan, cannot thank you enough, not only to have created an amazingly content-rich and educational podcast and blog, but on a personal level, you gave us a lot of marching orders for our team, so we're going to be digging into all this stuff. So thank you on both accounts. And again, just to reiterate, everybody can go to STEPHANSPENCER.com, StefanSpencer.com for all those resources. We've mentioned a couple of them that you specifically should go and look, the starting guide stuff, as well as some of the myths. Just a lot of great information. So I highly encourage everybody to run over there and keep learning from this guy, because people probably say this kind of stuff a lot about a lot of people, but he truly is one of the very, very, very best in the business, or else people like Seth Rogen and Tony Hsieh wouldn't be using it. So, Stefan, thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to doing another one with you soon.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks a lot.